What's up, y'all? This is Rodney James, the rock star Edgar. I'm here with Mike Jackson. You know Mike Jackson.
The truth.
The truth. Mike the Truth Jackson. That's right. How you doing, buddy? It's been a while.
I'm doing well. I know, man. I've been doing well. Just enjoying life, man. Enjoying the ride that we're on right now.
Good. Me too. You're a self-starter. You do enjoy life. You stay pretty busy with a lot of stuff. You're highly connected to the MMA community, especially in South Texas. So I want to give a couple shout-outs there because, I'm from Dallas, but I lived in San Antonio for a while, and so I'm very familiar with that scene. Fury FC, I know that you're doing photography, and I got to say, it's excellent, by the way. Your photography is some of the best in the business.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I really mean that, and it's underrated because I feel like a lot of photographers get talked about. I don't think you get talked about enough, and you've shot a lot of my friends, from San Antonio, Ray Rodriguez, Alex Hernandez. A lot of these guys are fighting in LFA and Fury.
Alex in the UFC now too.
Huh?
I'll say Alex is in the UFC now too. Yeah.
Yeah, and so are you. Again.
Yeah. And so am I.
Wow. So I got to say, man, the last time speaking of LFA and all that in San Antonio and you doing your other job, I guess that pays the bills, which is photography and everything like that. The last time I ran into you was at an LFA fight, and Ray Rodriguez actually was headlining that one. I think Mackenzie Dern was in the co-main. Mm-hmm. That was a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was covering that one, and we spoke briefly before the show started, and I asked the same question. I said, "How you been? What have you been up to?" And you said more or less the same thing, except you said, "I'm still trying to get this CM Punk fight." And here we are. Now
here we are. For me, it's all about it's all about the branding and the perception. And outside the hard work, you have to put yourself in a position to win, and that's really what I've done. I've been building up this persona, this sort of brand, and really what it's done is put me in the right positions. This is my second pro MMA fight, and they're both been in the UFC. How many people can honestly say that?
I don't think anybody.
And again, it's not like this was never a dream of mine, because for me, I understood the path that I was on as far as fighting goes. So I never had any inclinations that I would be competing, on the biggest stage of them all. But the hard work that I've done outside of fighting, again, building the brand, building the whole Mike the Truth Entertainment brand, and it's put me in this position, and I'm very grateful and thankful for the opportunities that I've been given thus far.
Yeah, so when I talked to you at that time and you said you were still working on the CM Punk fight, and I knew that because I had heard you on MMA Junkie Radio a couple of times. I had seen some things come across Twitter, seen a lot of people, fans and, MMA analysts, industry, media guys and the like that were also trying to, help you raise that awareness and get that, put that out there into the universe. But part of me was thinking you're a little bit crazy because I was like, I don't know, maybe that ship sailed. I didn't want to say that. Obviously, I don't want to be, be a downer or anything like that.
Right.
I just didn't think that the UFC would give CM Punk another opportunity to fight. And
that makes sense, just being of his skill level, and I understand, but what a lot of people fail to realize is that the UFC is a business first and foremost, and the main objective of a business is to make money. And when you have this personality, this character in CM Punk, who he brings in money, he drives the numbers up, And when you have an opportunity like this, you can't pass it up. So Dana White and the UFC, they've done the right things to make money for their company, and the right thing is to give CM Punk this platform in the UFC to fight and to generate money for a lot of people.
Right. And I agree with that also. But I guess what I'm asking is a little over a year ago, like how did you have insight, that it would actually happen? Or, because you didn't let go of it. You didn't give up on it. You continued to try to pursue this fight and it eventually came together. And I know you have a good relationship with, Mick Maynard and stuff like that. Did you have some insider track? Like, did you know, like, hey, they're going to give him another shot?
No, I didn't know they were going to give him another shot until the news came out from Dana, I guess over a year ago. Whenever he said, he talked about, giving him another opportunity. I didn't know until then. For me, it was all speculation and just sort of me kind of willing this thing. For me, I think, I feel things, they sort of happen for reasons. I think it's obviously at the right place at the right time. And for me, that's really all of this has been from day one, even from the Mickey Gall fight. It was really right place, right time, and who you know. And I feel that what I did with that experience, and even following the first fight with Mickey Gall, I feel all of that helped me. Again, just like you have fighters who are working hard in the gym, working on their craft, I was just my route was a little bit different than everyone. I can't even say a few people. Like, my route has been different than everybody's outside of like I don't know, James, Tony, just people in general. So I just I did what I had to do to make this come to fruition.
Yeah, and so it was a bit of a gamble. Like, in other words, you were kind of holding out hope that they would give him another shot and that your name would continue to stay in the conversation.
Right. Well, it was a gamble. For me, I shouldn't even necessarily, because a gamble is something where you're sort of taking a risk. That's what a gamble is.
Yeah.
For me, there was really no risk in this.
Sure.
I don't have to fight. I literally fight because I love the sport. I've never had to fight. I've always just loved the competition. So it was more just, hey, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But when you have that sort of, when there's even a small chance, even if it's a 1% chance that something can happen, like for me, it was a win-win situation. I either got the fight or I didn't. If I didn't get the fight, then I didn't get the fight, and I would just move on. But the big sort of reward here was obviously getting a fight, and well, I got it.
Yeah, no, I guess you're right in that extent. It wasn't a gamble in terms of you didn't really have to risk anything. You just had to continue to pursue that and just like I said, hold out hope and the belief that hey, if they give him another shot, they got to give him somebody that makes sense. And it's just like right. Here's what I worry about with him. We've seen guys that are at the highest level that are really good fighters that come back from a long layoff and they get that ring rust. We've seen it happen with a lot of guys. And here's a guy who has almost no experience in the grand scheme of things, especially when we're talking about UFC fighting. And he's been out of there for a long while. But at the end of the day, I kind of feel bad for the guy is what I'm trying to say. I know... you don't, because
I'm curious. I'm curious. Why do you feel bad? I'm just curious.
Because, like, when I saw how bad that he was when he fought, I really just thought, man, this guy, like, okay, he had his little Make-A-Wish moment. He got in there, but he's a grown-ass man. He signed a contract. He's trained for this. He knows what he's getting himself into to an extent. And after he got his ass whooped, he still wanted to come back and do it. So in that respect, it's kind of like, well, I guess I don't feel bad, but I don't know, man. I don't see this going. I see this going very violent for him, and not in a good on the receiving end.
Well, yeah. Look, here's the thing. Like for me, I'm all about people sort of kind of living their lives and living their dreams out. Like I'm cool with that. And that's really what Phil is doing here. So, I have no ill will against the guy. I have no, and I'm not even trying, I'm not going in here to hurt this dude. There have been times where, I'm sure, you've been there where there's someone you really want to fight, but in that fight, you really want to kind of hurt that dude. I've been there. We've all been there, But for me, this isn't one of those matches. Again, I have no ill will against the guy. My only issue with Phil is that the dude called me a can. And apparently the way I'm talking and things like that, it seems to be rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. And I think, and the reason I say that is because they're calling me like arrogant and cocky and this, that, and the other because of the way I'm talking. But it's really, I'm none of those things. And what people don't understand is that I'm not just an 0-1 fighter. And I think a lot of people, they listen to what I'm saying and all that they see is like, man, look, this dude is 0-1. He hasn't done anything. And look at how he's talking. And he's so like, obnoxious or whatever they're saying. And I don't think these people understand is that I've been in combat sports for a decade. This month is a decade for me. And so when you've been when you've been in an industry for a decade and you have someone who has literally never fought before, this guy calls you a can on this platform, you're going to take offense to that. And that's all I'm doing. Like, it's not, I don't feel like I'm the best fighter in the world. I don't feel that I can challenge Tyron Woodley for his title or anything like that. I'm only speaking in terms of Phil Brooks, who, to his credit, he only has one MMA fight, He only has one, fight at all,
Yeah.
For me as a professional alone, I have 6, 7, 8 professional fights, something like that. In boxing, I'm 4-0 in boxing. All my wins come via knockout. I'm undefeated in kickboxing with the win coming in a knockout. So for me, it's not about being obnoxious or cocky or anything like that. It's just stating the facts. Period. If you hear any other fighters in the UFC, when you hear champions talking, or just Kevin Lee or somebody no one says anything because of their accolades. But these are two fighters they're kind of known, from the fans already. For me, I'm not really known. You understand? Well, known from the UFC fans. But even then, you'll have people who will come and defend me. It was like, yo, y'all don't really know about Mike. He has hands. He's done boxing. He's done this. And there are people who defend me. But they're defending me to people who, for whatever reason, they don't even want to do the research. Look, if you just Google Mike the Truth Jackson, something about fighting is going to come up other than the one loss to Mickey Gall. That's all you got to do. You don't have to do any in-depth research. You can just, the first page on Google will give you sort of my credentials as far as fighting goes.
Yeah.
So, so I'm not coming at this from this arrogant or cocky attitude. I'm not doing it. I'm being a realist. And it's like, look, this guy is never, outside of the Mickey Gall fight, he's never had a fight at all.
Yeah.
And so and again, I'm not even talking down on the dude. I've never called him outside of the joking video, I've never called the guy a can. I've never been disrespectful to him. I've been nothing but respectful, and I've only stated facts. Again, if you're a boxer and you had 4 fights with 4 knockouts, and you're going into an MMA fight against someone who isn't very skilled, he isn't highly skilled, he has limited jujitsu, he has limited striking, and you put him against someone like me, what do you think is going to happen? Or what do you expect to happen? You know what I'm saying? So when I say I'm going to go out here and knock this dude out, there is no disrespect there. It's just me stating the facts. Because when I'm in a boxing match, I guarantee, if you look at my record, there's a 2 by the majority of my matches because I always call second round knockouts. That's just my style, And so when I say that, it isn't like me being cocky. It's just what I predict is going to happen. You understand? And look, I have knockout power. I'm going to be fighting in little 4-ounce gloves against someone who clearly isn't as skilled as me. So what do you expect is going to happen? I'm going to knock him out.
Yeah, and what I was leading up to before, with his long layoff, he hasn't really done anything. In terms of fighting, as you stated, he's got just that one fight, nothing else really significant. Probably didn't, grow up getting into street fights either. But since you last fought, I mean, you've actually been active. I've seen at least a couple of boxing matches that you've done. There's probably more that I missed. So, what have you been up to in terms of fighting? Because like I said,
I had two, man. I actually did a Muay Thai fight and I did a boxing match. In the boxing match, I posted a video on my social media yesterday, and tweeted to Ariel.
But you also had the one with Clarence Brown, because he kept calling you out, and then you beat the brakes off of him.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
you're right. So I've had two boxing matches with two knockouts, and then I had the Muay Thai. I did lose a decision in the Muay Thai fight, but that was against that was against Jeremy Holloway. He's a Bellator vet, and the dude is tough. And even in that fight, I didn't take any damage. It was really, he won the fight because he was just more active. And for me, it was one of those, look, I'm a hitter, and I hit this dude with some heat. And it was one of those situations where you hit someone and they keep coming like the Terminator. And you're just like, okay, what do I do?
What do I do? It's not an MMA fight. You can't go into grappling or anything. You have to stick with the striking.
Right. So in the Holloway fight, it was really a learning experience that, look, I know I can't knock everyone out. And so I had to make adjustments. And I just didn't make the adjustments to win a decision in that fight. That was really it. But, man, thank you for reminding me about that bum one fight. I forgot about that one. That dude, Clarence Brown is such
I had to tune in for that one, man. I followed the whole narrative along Facebook, and then he actually showed up to the fight, which surprised the hell out of me. But
hey, and that's one thing. Like, although I clown a dude because it is what it is, I will give him that. It's like the dude, outside of that one time he didn't show up for a fight. The dude he's a gamer. He'll take. Now, I think he's a little off in his head, obviously, and I think that's sort of his motivation is like the dude. He's a little crazy, and so that kind of affords him to do dumb shit. But yeah, and to be honest with you, I feel this CM Punk fight is going to go very much like the Bum One fight, to be honest with you.
So for those of y'all that don't know what Truth and I are talking about, I'm sure you can find it somewhere on YouTube. Clarence Brown.
It's at MikeTheTruth.com. Go there.
There you go. Go to MikeTheTruth.com. We'll get to that. But yeah, there's a lot to uncover there. But this guy was just calling out Mike Jackson repeatedly, and he wanted to do a pro boxing match, and Mike was just like, "Look, dude, I mean, every time you could probably tell the story better than I can. Every time that you stepped up, he had some excuse, and then you're like, dude, I'm not." He was accusing you of ducking him, basically, and you're like, dude, I'm not ducking you. I've already told you 100 times I'll do this fight, and then he finally signed the deal. Y'all did the fight, and then you beat the brakes off him. That's pretty much how it went down.
So for those who don't know, but I call him Bum One. It's Bum One and Bum Two. It's him and his little booty buddy, Thomas Moreno. I can't even believe it. I'm giving him pub right now, but whatever. But no, so the dude is basically, he was just like a real life troll is really what it is. He literally trolled his way in the Houston MMA scene, and he was just very disrespectful to fighters, even veterans in the military. He was just mad disrespectful. And so like this was someone who I tried to ignore, and just again, he's like a little roach, and he just keeps coming around, and an opportunity arose, and they was like, yo, you want to fight this dude? And I was like, I would give anything to hit this dude in the face. And I would tell you, it was one of the most satisfying feelings I've ever had.
Really?
It was punching Bum One in the face repeatedly. It was so fun.
Yeah, it looked like you wanted to slow cook him just a little bit because you.
I went to man, and so that was the one I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I like you said, I want to slow cook him a little bit. I wanted to get him out of there in the third round. And the dude, he basically quit. He's like, I dislocated my shoulder. But I was like, yo, you still throwing punches. You can't. You physically couldn't do what you did if you had a dislocated shoulder, So it is what it is. He quit, but it was a knockout win for me, and I was cool with it.
Yeah, and folks, there's one of those guys in every region throughout the country. I mean, he's got.
There can't be. I feel bad for anybody that has a Clarence Brown in their region. I feel so bad for them.
He's the South Texas version, and I think he's got he won 4 fights, but he lost about 27.
If you ask him, he's like undefeated in the streets. He's like one of those Street Fighter guys. He's undefeated on a baseball mound.
Oh God, that's because he never fought anybody good. Believe me, I would mop
he
the
got
floor.
smacked. He got smacked.
You'd have to pay me. But so, what T-shirt did we get today? I saw the Caucasians T-shirt yesterday. We didn't get.
This one we got I be getting lucrative. This is the Joe Rogan joint.
Okay, so that's the one you were thinking about wearing yesterday.
Yeah. But I figured I'll bring this out for you today. This is a good one.
I brought out the South Park one because I know you like South Park. Mom says God has a plan for everyone. I guess I'm Plan B.
Yeah,
it's my favorite.
I didn't see it at first. That's dope. That's
my favorite character, man. Jimmy.
Jimmy is the best.
He is the best.
My favorite's still Cartman, but Jimmy is a close. He's a close second.
Oh, dude, the Steroids episode from way back, man. That's like still to this day, one of the funniest episodes ever. So,
what was it? The GLC 1000 or something like that? I forgot what it was.
Oh no, this is one where Cartman tries to get into the Special Olympics because he thinks he tries to pretend like he's retarded.
That was a good one. I was doing back to season 1 or 2.
I know which one you're talking about, the beefcake one. Yeah, where he takes the weight gainer 4000 and he gets all fat because he's not working out. He thinks he's buff. No, Cartman tries to get into Special Olympics. He thinks he's going to beat all the freaking handicapped kids. He ends up coming in last. Oh shit! And then Jimmy gets all jacked up on steroids.
Yeah,
smacks his girl around with his crutches.
I forgot.
As a little.
See, that's my humor. I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty raw, pretty dark. You touched on this a little bit previously. I know you get a lot of haters. You get a lot of haters that come out of the woodwork. A lot of times, it's funny to see, see them attack you on social media and not expecting you to come back. I don't know if it still says it on your Twitter, but I think it used to say counter troll master general or something.
I'm the MMA secretary of counter trolling.
Yeah, okay. And so people don't expect you to respond back, and then when you do, they're gonna they backpedal oh. Hey, Mike, good luck on your fight, bud.
Yeah.
How's that been since this fight's been announced?
I've actually been doing more ignoring this fight around, and the reason why is because I think there's going to be an abundance of CM Punk fans that come out of the woodwork, and I can't address them all. But here's the thing: is I'm a smart guy, and a lot of times you get the trolls, and they just don't have the aptitude for it, man. They'll come out here and they'll drop a line, and that's all they have. And so then I'll drop I'll give them some fire, and they just I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. It's because they're not cut out for this, man. It's you have to have some kind of a wittiness or something. For me, it's all about improv. And I've never really, I can't think of a troll that I've met that has given me problems, because again, the people who are real troll like me, I'm not going out looking for people to troll. You understand? Again, I'm just counter trolling the trolls. And so the people, the really good trolls, like I said myself, the counter trolls, these people, we're not going out looking for people to attack. It's the simpletons. It's the people who they're just idiots. They're ignorant. They don't have any knowledge. They don't read books. These type of people are the ones who like to kind of initiate these attacks. And I'm cool with it. If you want to bring that smoke, you got to understand it. I'm going to give it back. And sometimes people get their feelings hurt because we're in this time where everyone's sensitive and everyone's outraged and triggered by the most trivial things, And so for me, it's just my way of kind of keeping the system in balance, I do my part, but it's small. It's on a smaller scale. I wish I had a a large platform. I wish I had hundreds of thousands and millions of followers where I knew the trolls are really going to come at me and I could just have a field day. But we're not quite there yet. We're trying to elevate the brand.
Yeah, because then you would have legions of counter trolls like just within your followers that would.
I didn't even think about that. It was funny because this past weekend we all know Beyonce. She was performing at Coachella, and they even called it like Baychella or whatever. And there was something where like another person had said something, and Beyonce, her thing is called like the Bay Hive. And she like told her people, "Hey, y'all, just chill out for a second. We got this." And I was like, "Yo, like that's cool as hell." Where you're like the queen of basically internet trolls, and you can tell them when to attack and when not to attack. So if I had that, man, I don't know if the internet's ready for that. But I would love it. That's what I want, the internet on.
That's a trip, man. Yeah, everybody's a keyboard gangster these days. But whenever, a couple years ago, before Mickey Gall was introduced into the situation, or even you, and I had heard some rumblings that CM Punk was going to be, fighting in the UFC. I know that perked up a lot of our ears. A lot of guys like you and I that said, well, wait a second. You got to think logically. I mean, obviously, this guy ain't never fought before. They're not just going to throw him to the wolves. They can't do that because we know what's going to happen. They got to give him somebody that they can at least make the people believe is going to give him that he might be able to be competitive with. And I remember a quote from one of the Fertitta brothers, before the sale, and he was like, "Yeah, basically we're looking for a guy who's like 1-0, 1-1, 2-0, something like that." And so I'm like, "Oh shit!" So. Guys like you, guys like Mickey Gall, guys like me, probably hundreds of others across the country, we're all like, hey, right here, hey, pick me. Right. And so, but I can understand why CM Punk would draw a lot of haters out from, especially the UFC, the hardcore, like the MMA cult following type people that are just like, this is not right, this isn't, But I also understand where you're coming from, and like people can't get mad at a guy like you because it's like, look, I'm capitalizing on an opportunity. They need an opponent, again, that you can market. You can't market, even though he just lost, a Carlos Condit or a Cowboy Cerrone, a big, huge star that's comparable to the type of star that CM Punk was in WWE. I mean, there's just he has no chance.
Right. You're right. And see, here's the thing, man. A lot of people in life, not even just MMA, in life, a lot of people, when they get emotionally involved in these things, their issue is that they're only looking at it from one point of view. They're only looking at it through their eyes. And for whatever reason, I don't even know why people feel this entitlement of this. Like, why do you even care?
It's a just world fallacy. They want it to be fair and make sense somehow.
Well, that's the thing is, like, people are upset. Like, they're upset, right? Like today, somebody tweeted me, like, this dude was legit upset that our fight is going to be on the pay-per-view. And like he was just like, well, you're taking a spot from all these other fighters, this, that, and the other. Like, there are big name fighters on the undercard. I'm just like, why do you care? That should you should be happy about that because now you get to watch your favorite fighter for free. You don't even have to pay to watch him fight now. Because we took a spot on the pay-per-view card, you get to watch someone and you enjoy fighting for free. Why are you upset about that? You would swear that the people who are so anti-Truth versus Punk, you would swear that they're writing out checks or they're somehow financially or invested in this. Like they have something at stake. And it's like, you don't. Just if you don't want to watch the fight, don't watch the fight. It's literally as simple as that. But people, again, we're in this society, this culture where people just want to be upset about the most trivial of things. So, whatever.
I told you earlier, I saw you on Ariel Helwani's show, the MMA Hour, yesterday, and you had said, he asked you, do you expect to see any improvement out of CM Punk? Well, I think that's a given, but I understand Helwani doesn't fight, he doesn't train, so I could understand why he would have a question. I thought it was kind of an off-the-wall question, because for me, it's like, of course he's going to be better. Like, what do you think he's been doing this whole time? He's been training. He's been trying to get better, and he's in there. He's in there working with some really good dudes, some of the best in the world. Now that being said, you had a quote where you said, "Look, we didn't get to see much out of him. We didn't get to see what he's really capable of. The only thing we really know, and this is me talking, is we know that a white belt doesn't fare very well against a brown belt when things hit the ground. But you and I already knew that. We already know that. You know, my question of follow-up to that, though, is how does a guy who's never fought before fare against a professional boxer? You know what I mean? Against a pro MMA fighter.
I don't know. We're going to see June 9th in Chicago. I know that.
Yeah, so, and then another follow-up to that would be, if I'm strategizing for him, like I said, let's say I'm cornering him. I'm not going to say, look, we're going to turn you into a Golden Gloves boxer and we're going to do it in this fight camp, or we're going to do it in the last 2 years. That's not enough time. You know, you're not going to go in there with a brown belt or a D1 wrestler and think that even just a couple of years is going to give you enough skill and athleticism to be able to stop the takedown or to be able to stop the submission from a high-level grappler. And again, I'm not going to sit in his corner and lie to him and be like, and I know Duke Rufus isn't that crazy because he's one of the best coaches in the world. He's not going to say, hey, we're going to go in there, we're going to outbox this guy. We're going to prove that we can strike with a pro boxer, pro kickboxer, right? So obviously, his game plan has got to be to get this fight to the ground and try to submit you. So where have you been working on your jiu-jitsu? I mean, I know you've been practicing jiu-jitsu for a while. I'm sure you're been doing it longer than he has, frankly.
Well, for me, my main training is going to be at Houston Muay Thai, here in Houston. Although we're a Muay Thai gym, we have Crew Bob, who, he's been in the game for quite a while. I have some solid training partners, and Matt Schnell, who's a flyweight in the UFC, been good friends, close personal friends with Matt for several years, and then we also have the Black Beast, Derek Lewis, who's a close personal friend of mine as well. And so, look, we have it taken care of. And then, obviously, we're going to get the work in at 4 ounce. That's my home. Those are my people.
Okay,
so we're going to be prepared.
Fight Club. And that's I mean, that's probably like, at least in my perception. I mean, I know you're biased because you train there. But, I mean, I think that's probably like the top MMA school in Houston, isn't it?
And we have a history of being one of the top schools. Again, the sport is changing. The sport is evolving. And so we're getting a lot of great gyms open up. And for me, I've been fortunate enough to build up these great relationships with people. And they open their doors for me and allow me to come train and get excellent work in. I'm a different guy. I'm not just a guy who fights. And, I have, again, the brand and the business that I've developed and built up, it's affording me great relationships, and it's allowing me to to move differently than a lot of people are able to move around here. So for me, I'm very happy and very fortunate to have a great city behind me. And even though I shouldn't even say city, state, I get to travel, and when I go to Dallas, Coach Safe, the Fortis guys over there, they open their doors to me. When I'm in San Antonio, I get to go out and train with Pete Spratt. So I get solid training wherever I am. I was in Atlanta, and I train over at ATT in Atlanta. So look, I'm just I get to move a little bit differently than a lot of other guys.
Well, make sure you go to Ohana when you're in San Antonio. I know Pete Spratt has a good gym up there too. I've been there, and actually I had Pete on the show not too long ago because he fought. I think you probably shot that fight, right?
Yeah, I did
for Fury. Yeah. And so, he's a good dude. He's from up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then, of course, you mentioned Fortis MMA. Steven Peterson is out of there. We've had him on here a few times, too. I've been looking forward to checking that place out because it's
great gym, great facility from top to bottom.
Yeah, and it's new. It's newer, like since I've left Texas. Like I guess it used to be most of the Octagon MMA guys, and they kind of split off and started.
Yeah, there were a lot of guys who were Octagon, and then they migrate over to Fortis. They opened up their own gym over there.
Yeah, downtown Dallas. So what is the end game here? Because obviously, like I said, I mean, I don't have any delusions about this, and I kind of feel bad. I look at the guy and I think, CM Punk, I just don't see how a guy who has one fight that lasted under a minute gets in there with a guy who has multiple fights, multiple wins, knockout wins, You know, and you fought in professional sports for, like you said, for a long time. What do you do after that, though? What does the UFC do with you after that? What do you do with the brand?
Well, for me, this whole thing, we're all about elevating the brand, man. So this is really to showcase my skills and put it on a different level, a different platform, man. Look, this is going to be. There's one thing to sort of fight on Fight Pass, whether I win or lose. That's one thing, but I'm going to be on a pay-per-view card in front of the world, and this is a match. This is stylistically, this is a fight for me to shine. This is a fight for me to show the world, and so. In turn, this is going to get more eyes on me, which in turn gets more eyes on the brand, which the most important thing here is it gets eyes on the promotions, the grapplers, and the fighters that I cover. And everyone wins here. Everyone that I'm affiliated with, some way or the other, gets their sort of brand elevated as well. I'm bringing everybody up together.
What do they say? High tides raise all the boats. Hey,
there we go.
There we go. You know, I'm on my hustle too and doing my thing, and like I said, a lot of those fighters in South Texas that you cover a lot. I see it. I know a lot of those guys too, and that is absolutely true. Do you think though, if you get in there, and again, I'm not just saying this because you're here. I'm just being a realist as a martial artist, as a guy who's trained and competed in combat sports and MMA, I'm just being realistic. I mean, I think that you go out there and make easy work of this guy. Do you think the UFC did they extend you another offer? I mean, to fight again?
Hey, we'll just have to play it out. You know, I hopefully, to me, I legit hope that Uncle Dana is really serious about bringing the Zuffa boxing in. You know, I would love to be a part of that. And again, I love boxing. So again, this is going to elevate the brand and hopefully larger, even boxing organizations take notice. They're watching, they say, oh, we got this boxer facing CM Punk. And hopefully that, piques someone's interest, maybe a PBC or HBO, whoever. We got the Charlo brothers out here in Houston. They're aware of me. They maybe don't know the level of boxing that I'm at. But they're aware of the name. When I see them, they dap me up and stuff. So hopefully, these guys are champions. So hopefully this sort of helps me, get the eyes everywhere. Again, we're just trying to elevate the brand.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to guys like that and markets like that, they're able to use your status as UFC veteran to help to market you anyway. Because when you're marketed to the boxing fans, they don't know what the hardcore UFC fan knows. Like they're not gonna be digging for the details. Like, well, the guy fought in the UFC twice. Who gives a shit? You fought in the UFC, and now you bring a great point though. You have a guy who's a pro boxer going against a WWE guy, and worlds are colliding inside of another world, if that makes sense. So it is,
baby. All of this is branding, is marketing, is business, and that's what I do. That is what look. I am about to have my second fight in the UFC. How did I get here? This, my mouth, and this is how I got here.
Don't forget these.
Well, of course. This is number 3. This is 1. This is 2, and this is number 3.
Right. Absolutely. So, sell it, my man. We talked about it earlier. What's the website? Plug your social media. What kind of sponsors? I know you got like an Onnit sponsorship on your website.
Look, we sponsorship is the market's changed a little bit. My primary sponsor is Mike the Truth Photography. That's my leading sponsor. But as far as you can find me at MikeTheTruth.com. Of course, you can check out the Truth About Stuff podcast at MikeTheTruth.com/podcast. And then again, you can follow me on all the social media at The Truth Jackson. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all that good stuff. At The Truth Jackson.
Outstanding. Well, Mike, as always, you're outspoken, you're charismatic, you're a great guest. I'm looking forward to this, man. June 9th, you're on there with Joe Benavidez. I actually interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, nice. And I'm about to get Claudia Gadelha on the show probably next week or later this week.
Yeah.
That's a great card, man. So,
man, it's a solid card from top to bottom, man. And that's the thing is people, you don't want to miss this, man. If you tune in, obviously we're going to bring in the casual fans and people who may not necessarily purchase pay-per-views. We're going to bring those people in. And what this is going to do, we're putting on for everybody. Look, nobody's really checking for Robert Whittaker. Again, you're not checking for Robert Whittaker unless you know about Robert Whittaker. And this dude's the champ. Now imagine how many people are going to get to tune in to see Robert. I love Robert Whittaker, and I'm not saying that in any kind of like negative way, but what I'm saying is there are certain people who may not necessarily have the sort of they're not able to grab the attention like other people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now, because we got a CM Punk versus Mike the Truth Jackson on the UFC 225, it's on the headliner is Robert Whittaker versus Yoel Romero for the middleweight title. Imagine how many people are now going to know who Robert Whittaker and Yoel Romero is that didn't know them prior.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So this is a win. If you're upset about this fight, you're selfish, and two, you just don't. You're ignorant to the grand scheme of things. You got to think outside the box, and you got to look at the bigger picture. You can't be selfish.
There it is. Hey, final thoughts from Mike the Truth. Spitting the truth.
Yeah. That's all I do, baby.
That's exactly what he does. He also knocks people out. Don't let him fool you. And he shoots a hell of a damn photo. So make sure you check out MikeTheTruth.com, man, and stay in touch with the South Texas MMA scene. It deserves every bit of your love and attention, I assure you. And so does Mike. Thanks, brother.
Man, I appreciate you for having me on your show, my guy.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon.
For sure. Later.
Later.